Good to have you all here. Welcome to episode 291. Mr. Larry Cromwell is our guest. I consider him well inside of the top 1% of people in the Summit community. I think we probably have about 5,000 salons now. So you go top 1%'s 50. Inside of the one, he's well inside of 50, probably well inside of 20. And for one, the real big reasons he's, California, we love Californians. But we also know that California is the epicenter. It's Mecca for self-employed community. And he is running one heck of an operation that's commission-based only. I'm not going to take too much away from his story. And he's doing unprecedentedly well. And he's been on my radar for a while. I think a while back I interviewed one or two of his people, and got him to give us a few minutes this afternoon and chat with us. But he is the co-founder with his wife Jill, Larry and Jill Cromwell, and his coach is Mr. Gavin Salisbury. So Gavin, every time Gavin tells me about him, I got to calm Gavin down because he hyperventilates. He's so excited about it. So let me just show you a little bit about his track record, and I think you'll see why I'm excited. So in 2016, just under 1.4. 2017, halfway to 1.7. 2018, halfway to 1.9. 2019, just this side of 2. And of course, he's got to navigate. I think California, the lights were off for 9 months or so in COVID, and then 2021 he pulls off a 2.75. So and again, this is in California. This is all commission. So if you said, I think right after this conversation, so I'm gonna email Guinness Book of World Record and say, hey, I think we got one for you. Mr. Guinness. So, and those of you that hang out with Summit, here's his stats on, his dashboard, running at about 140 on an average ticket. I just love, the salon's new business, when you throw in referral, that's about a third of his biz, his first time. So, and all you need to do is Google top salons in his community, and you'll see. I mean, he's got page 1 figured out. He's got Yelp figured out. He's got a lot of the things on digital marketing and branding, and I think most of that stuff he does himself. And so he's just an interesting guy. His RTS is running at 12. He rebooks just over 60%. And it's interesting. This is a new metric that we're running on Summit. 85% of the people that book in Maribou are what we would call request. And as you know, request is either repeat or I'm asking for someone that I haven't seen before, but I've heard of them. So that's an extraordinarily high request rate. And then when you add that to his salon new, you go, wait a minute, 85 and 34. That's well, there's no such thing as over 100%. That's why he's growing to the extent that he's growing. So he's in the game. Graduates from UC, University of California in '96. He was law enforcement officer for a few years. Opens up the first in '06, and he attends Summit in 2013. And it's interesting to hear his experience about that. And I think that started kind of inspiring him to reimagine, a better ride. So that's his story there. If you want to, a couple things. If you want to follow him, Maribou Salon on Instagram. You also, by the way, he's a Summit coach and consultant. I think I'll ask him, but I think most of the salons that he serves is out in his way, so he doesn't have to jump on airplanes and stuff like that. But if he gets your attention, feel free to direct message him on Instagram. He'd be more than happy to engage in a conversation with you. So, having said all that, Larry is in my green room. I'm going to bring him out now. I'm going to get him talking a little bit about his story, but more importantly, I'm going to get him talking about his secret sauce. There he is there. I'm going to unmute him, and you are going to make my friend Larry Cromwell feel welcome. Hey, Larry.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Oh, man. Are you kidding me? I can't tell you how much I've been looking forward to having you on. We had a great conversation a week or so ago. Thanks for giving up some of your time. I know you got a lot of stuff cooking.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to be here. Every time I talk to you, I learn, and I appreciate it.
I know. We tap each other's brains. We were both taking notes on each other when we talked last week. So I like hanging out with people that are smarter than me.
I don't know about that.
And if you ask my wife, if you ask my wife, she'll say, "Yeah," and he thinks he's so damn smart. I can't believe it. Anyway, we always like to start with the story because a lot of Summit Salon owners find themselves in at least a piece of another salon owner's story. So, give us how you got into this crazy business. Once upon a time, you weren't in this business. You were law enforcement, and you're here now, and your ride's been extraordinary. So tell us that part of the story before we get into secret sauce.
Sure. So my wife and I, mostly my wife, opened a salon in 2006, like that earlier slide said. And we opened a booth rental salon. And I was in law enforcement at the time. I did that for about 15 years. And I ended up leaving. I got PTSD and ended up leaving law enforcement. So I actually wasn't even feeling that great. And we owned a salon, and I decided to start helping my wife. And she was doing awesome. I mean, she was really good at Facebook, and marketing back then. And so she taught me a ton. The one thing is, as you mentioned, this was a booth rental area, and we were booth rental. And my one problem was that it was not structured. It didn't feel right coming from law enforcement. So our salon centric rep asked us about the Summit. And of course I was reluctant. We were reluctant. And I would say me even more than my wife, even though she had done a lot of hair and done a lot of booth rental stuff. But we ended up going, and right away within 10 minutes of them talking, I'm like, oh, thank God. There is some organization ability, because I needed some structure, and I'm not even saying hardcore structure, just something that laid out the principles of the industry and things, the best practices. So right away, and it was, so Randy Kunkel was one of the huge impactors on me from the very beginning.
Yeah. That was the as I've gotten to know you, that was a pivotal point in going to Summit. That whatever trajectory you were on, that sharpened. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to be presumptuous, but somewhere in there is like, okay, as we continue to evolve this, we want to move more into commish and kind of evolve out of we'll call it blended. When did the transition actually happen where you went from blended to now? I think, for all intents and purposes, you're all commish.
We actually do have a few booth renters left over, but it's out of, let's say it's 80, 90 people. It's I think 4 booth renters left over, and they're awesome. But yes, well, bottom line is early on when we went to the Summit, we realized wanted to implement the training program to bring people into the salon. And that was, we quickly saw that was the best way to actually get people to want to come work for you, is to offer a training program. So over time, though, we realized that booth renters had a tendency to leave. And it wasn't anything personal. It was their life journey. And so just the writing was on the wall that it was very hard to maintain that. So I think it kind of organically happened, to be honest. It's as you employed more people and they really appreciated the business coaching aspect of it, and started to get that higher average ticket and appreciate the career path that the Summit offers and that we offer. It just honestly, it kind of organically happened over time because there's a segment of society of stylists that are really looking for that and really hungry for that, and to be involved in the business at a different level. We just started attracting those kind of people, and now, as you know, we have the shareholders and the educators, and they love it, and they are now becoming the people who are coaching, future stylists and leaders. So I think it's really, it was an organic thing. It was just the training program, the one-on-ones, and the coaching.
Well, first of all, a couple things. There's a whole bunch of what you said. I want to unpack just a couple of pieces. Your answer to my question is not a new answer. People would say, nope, that's not front page news to me. However, you, through your leadership, through your culture, through your process, I'm going to call it consistency, persistency, perseverance. Maybe those are qualities you brought with you from the last chapter of your life, right? But you've been able to get a result on the same process everybody else knows that people have not gotten to, and a result in a community. As you know, California is a predominant self-employed community. That's what makes this conversation, frankly, unprecedented. You told me, I think, 50, 55 people, give or take, that are now kind of on the commission side of your model. And you said two things that got my attention. The number of people that are either at high 5-figure W-2s or even 6-figure, it's plural. And then the second is you've got a 401k with a 4% match, which is like off the charts. I've got a few people that are on 401, but they're at 3%, and 4% is not 1% more than 3. I mean, that's a big difference, right? How many people that are on your payroll now that are at 6 figs, and fully, and in what percentage of your people are participating in W-2?
So in the 401k?
Yeah, I beg your pardon, the 401k.
Yes. Yep, absolutely. So a funny thing, so it starts at 6 months. The eligibility starts at 6 months, but I start warning them upon hire that on the 6-month day, you need to sign up, or you're going to have to do laps around the building until you sign up and get the match. I had a sergeant. So to answer your question, the percentage is, I think maybe 80%, and
Wow.
it's I'm filling out paperwork today to put a couple more people on it. We just hit $500,000 in our 401k program. I push it hard. I tell a story. I had a sergeant, Joe Brown, big old handlebar mustache, right when I first signed up, and he said, "Sign this form, kid." And I did the max in the 401k, and honestly, the rest is history. So I just tell them that story. I go, "That's how I bought my first house. You're allowed to withdraw. I mean, not that you should, but you're allowed to withdraw, penalty free to buy your first home." I got a second on that first home to open my first salon. I think I've had to use it as kind of collateral for future homes and businesses. And honestly, it started everything. So to me, it's just the right thing to do. So we do it. And the majority of our staff does.
Yeah. And what's unique about that part of your experience, Larry, is, first of all, before you got into this game, it was you can bring to emotional recall your boss, your leader, saying, we're not having a conversation about this. You're going to get on it. And then, after, because it doesn't take long, a handful of years, you kind of realize what it was you were doing. And like you said, I there's a clause that says I can leverage it. I got to be careful, right? For whether it's a home or a biz or whatever. It also sounds like you've been on your own 401 for many moons. Are we talking 10, 15, 20 years?
I got hired at the police department in 1996. So
all right.
That was it.
Yeah. So we're in or around 24, 25 years. So you don't need to, there's no hope tied to, gee, I sure hope this is going to work. It's like, no, your faith is unshakable. Mm-hmm. Now, and you're saying that, you got $500,000 in that part. And when did you launch 401?
2020.
In the year of COVID.
Yeah. We launched it in 2020.
And so now I'm sure that as the months go on, there's going to be storytelling around that piece, and frankly, that is a new narrative in the salon community. Even though there's people that have been on it, their participation is very, very low because they just don't know what you know. And I've been on mine since '88, so I got a few more years. So like it saved my assets a number of times over the years. What about people your people are very motivated to not only do that, but really to continue to go climb up we'll call it the W-2 livelihood income. You've got several people, I think, that are at or over 6 figs on W-2.
Yeah, I think, yes. And that I believe that is because for a couple of reasons. The Summit career path, obviously, if it wasn't for the Summit and the career path, then I would not have, I wouldn't have understood the career path, and I wouldn't have been able to have that system in place to teach it. But adding, with the 401k, with the talk on growing wealth, and actually making that, explaining the difference between W-2 and paying taxes, and how you have to show a W-2 to get a loan, to get a mortgage most times, explaining the importance of real estate and things like that. And I'm no expert, but it's just common sense. Right. And then the next thing I would say is adding the different levels of growth in the career path, the level system, but then becoming an educator. And then in our case, we have the shareholder program. And so I think having the different levels that you can achieve and to grow at a higher level in this industry and make an impact on other people as well, and learn to become a leader business professional in this industry, I think there are a lot of people that are really, really hungry for that kind of, they want to be a part of something bigger, and they are actually hungry for the business, and they want to grow wealth. So that's, I think that's where the motivation comes. We do have a lot of people who are really hungry to make a difference and to really become strong business professionals.
Yeah, as I listen, you're taking, I'm going to call it maximum or full advantage over the aspects of I would call it the vertebrae of the Summit service provider model. You got the level system, you've got the educator, level jumps, in income, 401, shareholder. By the way, how many shareholders do you have now?
We have 6 currently.
Wow. So let's call that a value proposition. Let's call that the aorta of your mission statement, your vision statement, so that not if, but when somebody that begins to get established with a clientele, the marketplace is noisy. People blow in their ears about self-employment, and when they're at that proverbial holy jumping off place, do I stay or do I leave? There's really so much more for them to consider at Maribou than, let's just say, the traditional model.
Yes, I agree. I'll even take it a step further. When you plug into the Summit and L'Oreal and Michael Cole and all these resources some of our people are now employed by the Summit as well, as consultants and as platform artists or for Kerastase so I think, again, being part of something, the industry, there's just right. It's the career path within Maribou, and then it's being a part of the industry at a higher level, I think.
Yeah, you're really strategically partnered with the Summit model, Summit Salon Business Center, as well as L'Oreal, and I believe you're on a trajectory where you're now looking to scale. How many? Once upon a time, you had one. How many are you up to now?
4.
And
4.
and it sounds like you're just getting warmed up.
So we also bought a commercial building for one of our locations during COVID, and that's up and running. And then yes, and we would like to open more locations. I mean, God willing, and but yeah, I mean that I think it's doable, because as we get more leaders on our team, I think obviously we can impact more people. We can make a bigger impact on more young stylists entering the industry.
So I'm just guided to ask you this question because there's a number of people that are on this afternoon watching, and my sense is there's going to be a whole lot of people. It kind of blew my direct message box open today. Gee, please record this. I'm not available, during the half hour, but the number of people that are in the waters that you're in now, or similar waters, you're at a place that they would love to be. They're not at that place yet. They're at the place that where most people are, but they're saying, okay, if it's time for me to, that old saying, get busy living or get busy dying. I want to get busy living. What's next for me? What would you have to tell them that might get them out of their head and into the biz?
Go to Summit if you haven't gone to Summit. To me, that's the foundational piece. Get a Summit coach, maybe get an additional mentor or mentors in the business arena, and learn business. So for me, I read a lot of business books. I would, and just know the difference between being a business owner and a service provider. Understand that there is a big difference, and it takes a much different mindset. And I think what I run into a lot are people really not understanding that, and not knowing some basic business principles and basic leadership principles. So I think you got to know, you don't know what you don't know. And I mean, I still use Gavin as my coach, and he just has a lot more consulting experience than I do. So he's been into a lot of businesses. So, and we just had a great coaching session for Maribou the other day. So I don't know if that makes sense. That's
yeah. Well, you said more than you know, my friend. In that statement, I've never heard it put in such short, simple, succinct. It's like a slogan. Know the difference between being a business owner and a service provider, or you could even say a salon owner and a service provider, because the overwhelming majority of people, as you know, whether we're talking Summit community or the salon industry, is I happen to be both. I happen to be a service provider that owns my salon, and you're going, well, that's good, but really, really, really understand. No, there's two ways of knowing, right? There's knowing and then knowing in a way that makes a difference. Know in a way that makes a difference, that while there's commonality, there are profound, fundamental differences between those two. And if you're not clear on that, you're going to be fragile. You're going to make some mistakes that. So I love that we could just do a whole damn interview, Larry, just on that. But I did, off the top of your head, and you're not ready for this question, one or two differences that you see that you would say are fundamental.
It's leadership. I think it's not understanding. I mean, it's common knowledge, things like know your why. It's common knowledge amongst the business leadership community. How to motivate, or you know what? I would say also very much that this is an emotional intelligence game, and it's more of an emotional intelligence game and leadership in those aspects. Yes. than in skills, and skills are very important. But this there was a psychologist that won the Nobel Prize for Business, and they won the Nobel Prize for Business, doing a research on the fact that and proving with something that we all know, that people make decisions for emotional reasons as opposed to for mathematical reasons, and that's how they make their business decisions. So just knowing that, and knowing that you are responsible for the emotional health of the people in your company, and part of that is leadership, and there is a lot of safety that you provide by being a strong leader. So I mean, off the top of my head, those are two things.
Oh my God! Yeah, that's good. You're talking in tongues, my friend. I'm taking notes as I'm listening to you, and I want to make sure that my people that are watching this now and will be watching it, that your answer, what makes your answers profound, is that they're self-evident. There's something about, something in our intuition says, oh my God, that's so true, but I've never heard it put in such understandable and simple terms. Like when you said emotion, I actually put emotional reasoning. I think you said mathematical. I just even put financial reasoning. So the emotional intelligence piece is really making sure that in your language, your leadership, you're able to listen from that place, you're able to look from that place, you're able to speak and empathize from that place. And if that's an important loose end, that it's a blinding flash of the obvious, but it's not so much that until we're in a conversation that you and I are having right now. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And what I hear, what I would add to that is that's why the PDMs, those one-on-ones, are such an important factor, in our company and in the companies I coach, and the successful businesses that I know. That is such an important aspect of it.
Well, so what I hear you saying is, you're saying, I want to be able to find those footprints in the PDMs, that the PDMs are extraordinary opportunities to have a conversation that goes way beyond, financial reasoning, which is data and metric. And it's really important because it tells us where we have to pivot. But if you're not as skillful and as conscious of the emotional intelligence piece, you're going to lose. You're not going to lose half of your traction. You're going to, it's a 1 + 1 is 4. So you're probably going to lose about 75% of your traction.
Absolutely.
Well, listen, I could listen to you forever, my friend, and I'm taking away your biz, but promise me two things. You'll come back for an encore, because
Absolutely.
I think you're getting warmed up. I'd like to even, follow up with you, maybe do a podcast with you where we really, the difference between, knowing the difference between business owner and service provider. And as I'm getting to know you, I'm going to start saying to the Gavins of the world and my partners, you got to get Larry in on a higher level conversation, because I think you're doing things that are extraordinary, and you understand what it is that you're doing and why what it is you're doing is working. And that's what makes you unique. So kudos to you, my friend.
Thank you. No, I've learned so much from you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Well, we're going to give it up for you one more time, and I'm going to let you get back to your business, Larry, and we'll talk soon, I promise.
Sounds good.
Wowza. You guys, history was just made. So if you didn't have your ultrasound hearing aids on, you missed. I mean, there were times when I was chatting, or I should say, listening to him, that I was getting goosebumps. I mean, did you? I don't know if you were like keying in on his language, but that part about when I said what would be one thing that you could say to a Summit Salon owner that would make a difference for them, and he said, knowing the difference between owning your business and being a service provider, and the overwhelming majority of you do both. And what I heard him saying is wonderful, but there are that line where you need to bring something to the table as a business owner that transcends your experience and your strength as a service provider. And then he got really, really, really specific. When I said, give me 1 or 2 points of that difference, he alluded to, that word that now has hit the tipping point, emotional intelligence or social emotional learning or empathy or whatever you want to call that. That's now, it's a science, it's a psychology, it's part of leadership. He also said that the way he distinguished the difference is that there is, quote, emotional reasoning, and then there is mathematical reasoning. And I bet you, some of you, if you were watching me, I'm taking notes here, gang, because I put emotional reasoning and financial reasoning, and you need to have both. And when you put them both together, it's never, ever, ever, ever a 1 + 1 is 2. It's a 1 + 1 is 4, or a 1 + 1 is 6. And then he just, we did not rehearse that conversation. And then he said, the PDM, the monthly PDM, is the place where we, and I'm paraphrasing him now, so I might miss something in translation, is where we nurture that, we cultivate that, where people leave a PDM going, whoa, my leader cares as much about me, a person, as they do me, a service provider for the brand. Wow! I mean, I love, like I said, I love being with people that are smarter than me because I get inspired. And I'm going to steal some of his stuff. I'm going to give him credit for what he said, because when I show up to teach, I'm done teaching from what I think is right, but he really is, he really is walking the talk. So what an interview, guys. Just a magnificent interview. We're going to give it up for him one more time. This recording will stay live on Michael Cole, Millionaire Stylist Facebook page. We'll also, you'll find some remnants on it on the Michael Cole Millionaire Stylist Instagram page. What we'll probably do sooner or later is we'll put it on the IGTV channel, so that you can kind of watch remnants of it. We'll call it, 3, 4, 5 minute bites of it. When you get to my Instagram page, I'm using Reels a lot more now, and so you can find Reels in the grid, and they're like, a Michael minute, where and it's really cool. I think you can begin to add that to your PDM, and it is not done to replace Summit learning resources or Summit coaching, but it's a little bit of nitroglycerin, if you will, that you can pour on the bonfire. It's not the bonfire. it's a little bit of nitroglycerin. So take heart. Get on Summit Salon. All of our online courses now are on a .com, Summit Salon 365. So make sure, if you're not on that, get on that. It's just a small annual subscription fee, and there's just a ton of new production value content. The associate program is on there now, where you can stream it. We've got some mental, emotional wellness for the emotional intelligent piece that Larry was talking about. We're going to be putting Millionaire Stylist on there in this year as well. So that is our latest, greatest platform for you to be on. So jump on it big time. This would be the time to take advantage of a complimentary 30-minute consultation with one of our 100, and I think I heard the other day we're up to 115 coaches now. And just a lot of it is happening virtual coaching, especially, in Omicron. So, so coaching has never been so convenient, so cost effective. And Larry, like you said, that's part of his daily modum of operandi. So get involved with us, and it will take you to the next level. Last but not least, always like to give a shout out to L'Oreal Professional Product. They are the Summit and all people that, my last name now is Summit, Michael Cole Summit, powered by L'Oreal. So Summit is powered by L'Oreal PPD. So we always like to do a shout out and thank them for the work they do. There are the brands Biolage, Pulp Riot, Kerastase, Purology, L'Oreal, Redken, Matrix, Shu, and Mazzani. Get involved in those. You saw what Larry said was, I'm as involved with L'Oreal as I am with Summit. And again, it's one of those, 1 + 1 + 1 is not 3. The 1 + 1 + 1 is probably closer to 100. And so get involved. Listen, it's been a great conversation. We're going to be back on Thursday afternoon we're now doing a couple of these a week. So join us for that. And in the meantime, have a great week, and we'll see you on Thursday.